You're listening to Saturday Morning Media. And now, back to our show. Here we go.
Welcome to the Grantcast. My name is Grant Baciocco. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for subscribing and downloading, and a big shout out to all of our Patreon patrons. Hey, everybody, welcome. I am recording this on July 2nd, 2023. Now, patrons will get to hear it earlier, and those of you listening on the public feed, you'll hear it when you hear it. But yeah, there's only 1 week in between recordings, even though we release them every other week. But here's the thing. There's two things. One, I'm enjoying recording on Sunday evenings. And I think it's a fun habit to get into, to kind of recap the week on a Sunday evening and then, in a podcast form, and then get it out there. I think that's fun. I don't think it's going to last, but there you go. The other thing is in July, I will be performing in Puppet Up Uncensored at the Jim Henson Company. And then also I will be traveling to Maryland for the National Puppetry Festival. So there's going to be some weeks coming up ahead where I will not be home, or I'll be either traveling or have a show on a Sunday and blah, blah, blah. And so recording these kind of in advance is not a bad idea. I wanted to do a couple updates from the last episode. The great news is that all my wrestling figures arrived to New Jersey. They arrived perfectly. I did have to have a little bit back and forth with PayPal in order for them to release the money, but they released the money, and I have the money. And the guy was super happy with all the things, and it was one of those things where I was a little nervous because you're dealing with somebody on the internet and they're all the way across the country and you just don't know. But he was great, and everything is great, and all the money cleared, and there you go. It's all in the bank. In terms of the Country Bear Collector Show items, I am getting so frustrated, because it just seems like it takes days to hear and respond, and to hear back and then respond. And I just want it over. And actually, it's my turn to respond now, but I'm so frustrated. I was just like, I'm just going to reply when I reply. That's when it's going to be, because I'm tired of dealing with this garbage back and forth. The good news is our house is in escrow, the house we're selling, so that is great. And it looks like it's going to be a super quick escrow too. I'm scheduled for 25, 30 days, but it looks like it might all be over by the time you hear this. So that will be cool. I will say that, I did say this, Toily mentioned this on one of his live streams, so it may be a repeat if you listen to all of Toily's live streams. We went in to sign the escrow paperwork. We went to the office because you have to do it in person, and the door opened, and this woman was at the front, and she goes, "Oh, she'll be, the woman you're meeting will be right with you. Please just have a seat right over there." So we sit down, and we can tell that there's this other woman in this office. And she kind of comes out and gets some papers from the copier and then goes back in, but doesn't really say anything to us. And then she has the biggest rattling cough, like one of those coughs where, I don't know, for me, like if you hear somebody cough like that, your eyes kind of go wide and it's like, ooh, is that person okay? Because that's a heck of a cough. She finishes coughing and then comes out and goes, "Hi, come on in, I'm all ready." And I was like, I don't want to touch anything in this office if she's been coughing like that. So we sit down and we start signing paperwork, and the way that she was doing it was, there's several things you have to sign. And so she would put something down in front of me, put something down in front of Suzanne. We would sign, then we would swap those papers and sign. So we did that for the first couple of papers. And then she looks at the papers and she goes, "Okay, we're going to have to redo this." And we're like, "What?" And she was like, "Well, because the signature lines were on top of each other. And so when I signed, my signature went up into the line of Suzanne's signature above me." She goes, "Well, your signature can't touch the other signature line. They have to be clear." Now, so I was like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "I'm going to have to reprint all these things." And I was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry. You didn't tell us that when we were signing this. And like I wasn't like doing a John Hancock signature, but like the top of the G in my first name kind of touched the line where Suzanne's name was. And there's this thing I found out about it on Reddit. There's a whole subreddit called malicious compliance. And malicious compliance is where you do exactly what the person tells you to do, but you do it in a way to make it obvious that you are complying, but you're really angry about it, or that, like you do exactly what you're told. Even if you know that it's going to be wrong or it's going to cause problems or whatever. So she hands me the new sheet of paper and I cannot help myself. I just cannot help myself. I sign my name the smallest I can sign my name and still have it be my signature. Like I'm not like it's still my signature, but I sign it as small as possible. And then I take the other piece and I do it again. And she takes these back and she goes, well, I guess I don't have to print these out again or something like that. I don't have to print these out again. And Suzanne goes, well, we can control the size of our signature. And I was just like, screw you. Like this is your fault. You should have told us before we started signing that we shouldn't print this out. But she was mad. And then I knew she was mad, this woman. And so because I am who I am, I just kept signing my name as small as humanly possible. And then we were like, okay, thank you. All right. Sounds great. Okay, bye. And the moment we got up and left out of the office, the deepest chest rattling cough you've ever heard in your entire life. If I don't come down with COVID in the next however long, it's going to be a frickin' miracle. I wanted to talk about this because I was thinking about this. It's a little bit of what I talked about last time about wanting to be a makeup artist. And I started thinking about all the things I wanted to be as a kid. And the first thing I wanted to be that I can remember wanting to be, I wanted to be a rock star. There was no clue in my head that I would have to learn an instrument. I just thought, I'm going to be a rock star because I can just be a rock star. And I love the idea of getting up on stage in front of people and people are cheering, but nothing in my little second grade mind or third grade mind ever made me think, well, you're going to have to learn how to play an instrument or, be somehow musical. I just thought you could be a rock star. The next thing I know I wanted to be was I wanted to be a helicopter pilot. Why did I want to be a helicopter pilot? Because I loved the TV show The A-Team, and my favorite character was Howling Mad Murdoch, and he was a helicopter pilot. So that was like probably 4th grade, 5th grade. That's what I wanted to do. Now, of course, too young to take any sort of helicopter flying lessons. And to this point in my life, I have not been in a helicopter, and I'm not rushing to get into a helicopter. If that was how I was traveling, then that's how I would travel. But I am. But anyway, I wanted to be a helicopter pilot because of Howling Mad Murdoch of the A-Team. Then I wanted to be a pro wrestling manager because I really got into wrestling, and Jimmy Hart was my favorite guy. And I just thought he was hilarious. I thought he was funny, much in the same way I thought Howling Mad Murdoch was funny. And so that's what I wanted to be, a pro wrestling manager. And then in early high school, and this is what I mentioned last time, I saw the movie Summer School, and the two guys in that, Chainsaw and Dave, I just thought they were so funny, and I loved all the stuff they did with makeup. And so I wanted to be a makeup artist. And so that's why, as I said before, that I went to Cal State Long Beach, because you could get a degree in makeup artist stuff. So anyway, these were the things I want to be. And I was thinking about it yesterday, and it was like, I didn't want to be these things because I wanted to be a helicopter pilot or a pro wrestling manager or a makeup artist. I wanted to be these things because the actor or the person who was doing those things that I really liked made me laugh when doing those things. So really, What I wanted to be was a performer. And I guess this goes with being a rock star as well, was being a performer. I wanted to entertain people, and especially with a helicopter pilot, pro wrestling manager, makeup artist, I wanted to make people laugh, right? So it's just funny because I was thinking about it. It's like that's what I thought I wanted to be, all those things, helicopter pilot, manager, makeup artist. But what I really wanted to do was be like Dwight Schultz, Jimmy Hart, but I wanted to be them. And so now in my life, I am a performer. And so I have kind of become that thing. And I'm not going to say I make people laugh all the time, but what I really wanted to do was become a performer. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Grantcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing, for downloading, for checking this show out. Huge shout out to all the patrons. Huge shout out to my editor, Stephen Staver. Thank you so much. We'll be back soon with another episode of the Grantcast. This episode of the Grantcast was edited by Stephen Staver, who probably did the artwork as well. This episode was made possible by the Saturday Morning Media Patreon patrons who've gone to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media and set up a pledge for as little as $1 a month. Big shout out to all of our patrons, and a special shout out to our patron producers, Eve Cunning, Kathy Crawford, Andrew Calcagno, Tony Urbano, Brandy, David Akers, Paul, Scott Armstrong, and Vicky Sebring. Patrons at the behind-the-scenes level and above get access to a video of the recording of this episode. If you'd like to become a patron and receive the episodes of the Grantcast before they are released, visit patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media today and set up your monthly pledge for as little as $1 a month. And thank you for your support. This episode of the Grantcast is copyright 2023 Saturday Morning Media, Grant Baciocco, executive producer, all rights reserved. www.saturdaymorningmedia.com.
You've been listening to Saturday Morning Media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.